This one is from the Crucible, so we got another Andrew Wilson one, I assume. Oh, yeah. Debate turns to screaming. Andrew educates. I don't know why they capitalized educates. Woman on whatever podcast. All right, let's see what today's education is about. We'll see how true this is.
And I feel like people should be able to have their views as well, and to have their preferences. And I also think that when women are able to have the option to stay home and it's not necessarily forced, it's so much more appreciated. But also I do want to go back in time and, talk to some of the women who are like, oh, I hate having to just sit at home and take care of kids and animals all day. I want to go out into the workforce and, I want to push major university. Like,
there's actually very few of them, just so you know. The anti-suffrage, when it comes to feminism, the anti-suffragettes far outnumber the suffragettes. Far and away outnumbered them.
Yeah, it's mostly marketing. It's all a lot of marketing.
So I guess the real question is, why do you think the men
allowed it?
Voted it in? Because the men were the ones that voted it in.
Because they had people like Rockefeller who were doing this mass funding behind the scenes. And there was occult roots that go all the way back to the early... Basically, Protestantism brought you feminism.
But how do you think they convinced the general male population that
exactly?
It should happen?
Wait,
so you don't think we should vote? That's your view?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I think women should be able to vote, but I'm not a feminist.
Yeah,
but why do you think they should be able to vote?
Why shouldn't I be able to vote?
Well, that's not my question. That's answering my question with a question.
No, yeah, but that is. Do you think I should have to pay taxes? I think I should.
Well, so
you're right. Wait. We didn't get to your.
So let's start over.
Millie, we didn't
get
to
your taxes.
Hang on, let's start over.
Should I pay taxes?
It's so much fun when they all talk at exactly the same time.
Your position is you should be able to vote.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, why should you be able to vote?
Because I'm an American citizen and I pay taxes.
Okay, so let's assume for a second, as you know.
What if you don't pay taxes?
No, most people in America do not pay taxes. Do you think they should be able to vote?
Well, the problem with your reasoning is we have a law that says you can't have taxation without representation.
Yeah, so
I'm not sure how that's relevant.
Therefore,
the law doesn't say
if you're a tax-paying American, and that's why they debate this in D.C. all the time.
That's insane.
D.C. residents are paying taxes, and they don't have proper representation.
This is, first of all, this is a goalpost move. I'm not going to let you get away with it. We're going to move right back, and then I'm going to address that second point after we move right back and destroy your first point. The first point,
you're not going to destroy anything.
People. Yes, I will. Watch.
No, you won't.
There are the first point are the first point is there are people right now who pay no taxes, right?
What about?
Should they be able to vote?
Probably not.
Okay, so you would agree that those people...
They should still be able to vote.
Not arguing with you yet.
Let's do split.
So we should be able...
That is crazy.
So then as we look at this then, we should be able to see that you want for at least some people to not be able to vote, right?
Well, I'm saying that Americans have the right to vote. That's what it says.
Okay, so then should... I'm asking you an ought, not an is. I'm not asking you what...
Oh, boy. Okay, so... It doesn't even matter who's correct. Andrew's obviously going to win this exchange. It doesn't even matter if he's right or wrong. I mean, she is already completely lost. She's completely lost. She doesn't know what he's asking. She's answering questions that have nothing to do with anything. This is, yeah. Okay. I have a feeling the title is a bit misleading because I don't think she's going to learn anything from this.
What is true? I'm asking you what ought to be true.
Let me ask you a question.
You can ask me a question. You have to answer my question.
Wait. We got
taxes. We missed.
Should women pay taxes? We shouldn't be able to vote. Are we that emotional?
Wait.
So anyway,
should women pay taxes?
Calm down. Relax.
You calm down.
One step at a time. Yeah, telling you to calm down is me being emotional.
Yeah, you are. You seem to be getting a little frustrated.
I don't know. You seem to be kind of a dumbass. You want to answer my questions.
Okay.
Oh boy. Yeah, they're not even going to get... They're not going to even get to the topic.
So an ought from an
ad
is.
hominem attack.
Do you know what an ought and an is? Is claim, is true, ought, should happen.
That's not ad hom, by the way. That's just an insult.
Should everybody be able to vote?
No. Who's everybody? Should Americans be able to vote?
Yes.
I don't think illegal immigrants should be able to vote.
Don't be pedantic. Should all Americans be able to vote?
Are all Americans required to pay taxes?
Yes.
Yes.
But do all Americans pay taxes?
And guess what happens to those who aren't paying taxes? They get in trouble with the IRS.
No, they don't. Most people don't pay anything into the tax system. They're not a net positive tax system.
Well, if
what
they're not
are you
making
talking
an
about?
income, then they don't have
No, they make.
She's confusing filing taxes, which you're supposed to do, with paying taxes, which most people receive more tax money than they pay in taxes. So whether it's actually through like a tax return or just the use of services, you usually get more out of the tax system than you pay in for most people.
An income.
No, if they're not making an income, they don't have to file.
No,
and therefore
there are people who make more back from the government on an earned income child credit than they pay into the government.
Okay, and that's
should those
another
people
issue.
be able to vote?
You're still not convincing me why women
I'm
should
not
be able
trying to
vote.
convince you. I'm asking you a question. Should those people be able to vote?
But
She's not going to answer any questions. He should go to the other girl.
Should American citizens be able to vote? Yes.
Well, then your argument that just because they pay taxes doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm saying that's one of the reasons
let me
why I
finish,
should
and then
be
I'll
able
let
to
you
vote.
finish.
I
I
pay
promise.
taxes.
Let me finish, and I'll let you
we have
finish.
a law that says
Relax,
we have
lady.
to have
Let me finish my point. I'll let you
representation.
finish your point. So, if that is true, then your original argument of, hey, wait a second, people who pay taxes, because they pay taxes, they should be able to vote. But we've just established many Americans do not pay taxes, and you still think they ought to vote. So your first argument's moot. Now let's move to the second one.
No, it's not moot.
Then explain it to me again.
I have a question.
Explain to me why women should be able to vote. I still haven't heard you explain
Okay,
anything.
I'll
Doesn't know
get.
why you
I'll
brought
get. I'll get
representation
to
and
it.
taxation.
I'll get.
You
I
are
promise you, I'll
also
answer your
because
questions
we have a law
after
in
we
the
go through
United
yours.
States that says we have to have. There's a
Laws
law
are
that
changeable.
says no taxation without representation. Are women?
The existence of a current law is an is claim. He's asking for an ought. Why ought it be that way? Not is it this way?
Can we move past that point?
What
I
law
just want to
says
know
that?
why he
What-
thinks we shouldn't
What
be
law
able to
says?
vote.
What law says that because you should have representation? Okay,
You don't
that
have
means
representation
everybody
if you
should be
can't
able to vote.
If you cannot vote, you do not have representation.
Okay,
They're
voting
arguing
rights.
a legal matter in D.C.
Most people
because
in
DC
American
doesn't have
history
proper
could not vote.
representation and they're paying taxes, so therefore it's in violation of the law.
No, it's not. Most
yes, it
men
is.
and women. First of all, voting rights are affirmed in the negative. You know this, right? They're affirmed
Don't assume that she knows anything.
in the negative. There is no right to vote
Andrew's first mistake.
because you have no right
They're
to
negative
do
rights,
anything.
is what he's saying.
They're negative rights. Negative rights, not positive rights. Meaning you don't have to do any of these things, and they're only affirmed in the negative. States,
you don't have to vote.
States themselves used to always
But
be
you
the
have the
ones
right.
who had jurisdiction over this. Now, when it came to voting itself, and when it comes to voting, even right this second, all the laws say is that if there is a vote, you can't be barred based on X, Y, and Z. Not that there even has
I
to
think
be
you're
one.
actually
Don't you used to
avoiding.
need to,
I
like,
think
serve
you're
in the
actually
military
avoiding
to
explaining
vote?
why women shouldn't be able to vote. So you tell me why should women not be able to vote?
Okay, so I'm going to answer, but I want to promise from you that we're going to go right back to this, so that because I'm not going to let you weasel out of it.
I didn't weasel
by an
out of it.
incessant
I asked-
peppering
I
of questions
answered your questions,
without answering any.
And you're
I don't actually think she's weaseling. I just think she is completely lost. She's totally lost.
asking the same
No,
question repetitively.
because
So
I have already shown a
answer my
flaw
question.
in your logic.
There's no flaw in the logic
I'll
there.
explain I'll explain the
explained it
flaw
to you.
again. The flaw is, if your argument is people who pay taxes should be able to vote, we've already established there's multiple people who don't pay taxes, so why ought they be able to vote? Your answer is duh.
That's not my answer.
Then what's your answer?
I said that Americans are supposed to be able to vote. They're supposed to have representation. There are tax-paying
Based on law,
women.
right?
Are there women that pay
We're
taxes?
talking about an ought. We're talking about an ought, not
Are
an
there women that
is.
pay taxes?
Yes, of course.
So they should. You're saying they should not be able
My
to vote.
argument is not that taxpayers should be able to vote. That's your argument.
Okay, I'm saying women should be able to vote.
I know, and I'm asking you why.
Other than
I'm
taxation.
saying women have a right to vote because we're American citizens. We're
That
taxpayers.
is true. Why
We're property
ought-
owners.
but-
We have a stake in the interest of the country.
Should only property
we should
be
have
able?
representation.
Okay, so should only property owners be able to vote?
Everyone should be able to vote.
So
What if
we're-
we say that? It's a
'cause
human right
again-
to be able to vote. Then why cannot
yeah,
women
the
vote?
problem-
Stop arguing with her and just tell
the
us why
problem-
you
Talk
don't
about
think
human
women
No,
rights.
should vote.
I'm gonna finish my argument over here. So anyway,
Okay.
we have to distinguish an ought from an is. You
And
keep
you
on saying it
still
is
are
true.
refusing
Chair one is so mad.
to say you're the one who
Yes, I'm gonna
initially
get
came
to
out
it.
and said you think women should not
Yes,
be allowed
that's
to
correct.
vote, and you still haven't even made a sound argument.
Because you gave me your reasoning first, So I'm just going through your line of reasoning.
We spoke about one thing. I have many reasons why I believe this, and you're honing in on one thing.
Now, I will give you my reasoning, and we can see if there's any flaw in my argumentation.
Okay, here we go.
Men are the enforcers of rights. And because they're the enforcers of rights, they deserve to have all the privileges that comes with enforcement. Women are not the enforcement of rights, including for other women. Only men can enforce the rights of women. Therefore, only men should be able to have the stake and the claim to vote. Period.
How can only men enforce the rights of women?
Well, oh boy. It's, all right. So it's called force doctrine. And it's something that the traditionalists like to use quite a bit to signify why men should have a higher say in kind of what we do in society. In this case, it's voting. And so basically, because men have to be the enforcement arm, we have to be. We will always fight the wars. We'll always be most police officers. We will always be most of the builders, the construction, the infrastructure. We will always be most of these things until we reach some sort of transhumanist future sci-fi utopia, which is possible. And then we can come back to this discussion. And Andrew's saying that because of all those things, only men should be able to vote. I don't agree with him. I have a very different view about who should be able to vote and who shouldn't, but this is Andrew's argument. He's definitely going to win this because she has no idea what's going on, but that's the argument he's making.
I'm glad that you asked. You have rights, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what is a right?
Oh boy, yeah. So she's toast. You don't have rights. Rights don't exist. You have entitlements granted to you through the force of the government that is providing you with those entitlements. There's no such thing as rights.
A right is something that basically we've defined out through a Bill of Rights or a Constitution.
Something the government can't do to you.
It's an entitlement absent a duty.
Right.
Is that a right?
Well, what do you mean by absent a duty?
Hey, Helmet Girl's here again. And there's also some kind of helmeted soldier in the back. Interesting.
There's no duty with your rights.
We're given, we have God-given inherent rights in America.
No. No.
Okay.
Right, and that's where we enshrine our rights from, is the rights that God gave us.
So God...
At one point in history, the rights that the entitlements that we decided to codify into law were loosely based off of the rights that Christians believe were endowed to us by God, but we don't have God-given rights in America. That's crazy.
God gave you the right to own a gun?
Exactly.
He gave us the right to self-defense.
Did he give you a right to own a gun?
He didn't give you either of those.
He gave us the right to self-defense.
Yeah, I know, but that's not my question. Why do you keep on not answering my question? Did he give you a right to own a gun?
This chick in the background behind her is so lost.
Or is that... Okay, he did. So that was not, your right to own a gun is not something which can be taken away from you.
Here's the other thing. You say only men can be enforcers of law. There are women can actually have a gun.
Laws, I said
and they
rights.
can enforce rights. They can protect rights with guns.
Some of them.
As well, because guns are equalizers.
So let me explain.
Guns are not equalizers.
This the best way. Let me explain this the best way I possibly can.
They give children guns in some countries.
Let me explain this the best way.
That's crazy. They do that, but that's crazy.
That I possibly can.
Okay, so women can also
you're just
have
prattling.
guns.
You're just prattling.
It's not prattling.
And it's not children. It's young boys and teenage boys and young men.
I thought you wanted the explanation. Do you want me to give it to you or not? So
Guns rights are women's rights.
I'll give you the explanation instead of your incessant prattle. So here's the actual explanation. Men are the enforcers of rights. Rights don't exist. They don't exist. You can't taste them. You can't touch them. You can't see them. They're a social construction.
No, men did not create the rights. God did.
Okay, he did.
How? That's crazy.
What rights did God give you?
God gave me the right to exist. He gave me free will.
You have a right to exist?
Yeah.
Oh, really? So you couldn't just wink out of existence tomorrow?
God created me.
What does that have to do with a right?
I have the right to free will.
You have a
Right.
you have a right to literally nothing except what
Freedom
other
of
people allow
speech.
you to
We
have.
God
All of your
given
rights
inherent
can be
rights. That's what it literally says in our Constitution.
I know what it says, but that doesn't mean it's true.
Oh, so you don't believe in the Constitution?
I don't believe that rights are real.
Okay, so you don't believe in the Constitution.
I don't believe that
so
rights
then
are
go
real.
to a different country.
I
then.
didn't say. What does that have to do with anything? Even if
You
I
don't
said,
believe in
okay,
the
I'll go to
Constitution.
another country. Now rights are suddenly real. That makes
So
no
why are you
sense.
even talking about rights if you don't
Because
even
that's
believe in the
the
Constitution?
that's the core of what we're talking about, the right to vote. Last I checked, right?
Oh,
You don't
boy.
even care about rights because you don't believe in the Constitution.
I don't believe in rights.
Can I ask you a question?
I believe the
Women's rights.
Constitution is real.
Do you think
But that doesn't mean I believe that
better
rights
since
are not
women
a
got the right to
social
vote?
construction.
Yeah, the Constitution existing has no bearing on whether or not rights exist as like a thing that you can point to. Like they're not a thing. Like they're concepts that are enforced by government. You don't have the right to life. It's your right to life is generally enforced and protected by a government. This makes, oh my God, this hurts my brain.
Are rights a social
So
construction?
how do you think the Constitution
You
is
keep
right?
asking me questions even though I've answered all of them. Are you going to answer one of mine? Are rights a social construction?
I believe in the Constitution.
I know,
that
I believe.
Americans have the right to
Oh, I
vote.
believe. That's not. Are they real or not?
Is
sir,
what real?
Rights.
Sir, can
Or
I?
are they a social construct?
No, I think our rights are God-given. See, in
What
the
right
days-
is God-given?
Let me explain
Can I
something
ask
to
a
you. In the olden
clarifying
days,
question?
hold on, really quick. Let me explain something to you.
Okay, explain it.
Where did the monarchs used to derive their right from?
Oh, well,
God.
their right to
The
rule, yes.
monarchs were sovereigns, and they believed that they had the direct lineage.
They believed whatever they wanted to. They enforced their authority through force.
From
Oh.
King David, and therefore they had been given the right
Uh-huh.
of God to rule over their people.
Oh, monarchs
When we
did.
had, yes, because
Okay.
they believed they had been given the right from God to
God.
rule over the people. When
And
we
how did
had
they
the
enforce
Declaration-
that right
hold
to
on,
rule?
Don't interrupt. When we had the Declaration of Independence, right, we had 1776. That was a group of American founding fathers coming together and recognizing that they, in fact, were all given God-given rights. And it wasn't just the sovereign, that we were all sovereign,
this is
and that
all-
we were all given
This is
God-given
all
rights.
John Locke nonsense. Listen.
It's not
We'll
John
back it up.
Locke.
We'll back
This
it up.
is what
Yes, it is. It's
founded the American
enlightenment.
principles
Yes, the Enlightenment
and created
principles.
the middle class.
The Enlightenment principles
It
are
created
what
the middle
founded
class,
it.
okay?
Okay. Well, no, it didn't. But
Yeah,
anyway, the Enlightenment principles that you're talking about right now, they still acknowledge
Literally
that
did.
rights are social constructs. They have to be.
They're
and when
not.
you talk
That's
about
how you get your rights
when you
stripped
talk
from
about
you if you
a
believe
God,
that ideology.
if your rights can be stripped on you, which is how you know the ideology I'm talking about is true.
If you can
They
convince
can't be
people,
real if they can be taken from you. You have a right to
How is
nothing.
this not more relativism?
What do you mean?
More
What do you mean by
relativism?
only men can
If you can
enforce
convince
rights?
people that
I'll
they
explain.
don't have any rights and it's all a social construct, you can strip them from them. You can
Just,
No.
convince
oh
them
my God,
that
stop
they don't have
talking to
rights.
the blue
But
girl.
If people know that they have
Talk to someone
God-given rights
smarter.
and that their rights come from God,
Then they can act as though they're real, and then they can enforce that.
they are real.
They're
God did not
real.
give us a right to vote,
They're made up.
unfortunately.
Our rights
Yes, please talk to the first chair. Jeez.
are real.
They're socially constructed. Can you point to
Is
me,
it-
point out a right for me, real
So
quick?
how do you call
Hey, is there a
yourself
right over there?
Christian?
What about over there? Hey, is there a right down there? Is there a right? I don't see any. Where are they?
Do you not believe in the authority of God?
Yes, of course. God is an existent objective
Okay,
being.
so what did God tell Israel?
About which thing?
Okay, did he not give him authority? Did he not give the line
told
of
them
David
a lot of
authority?
things.
you can
Did he
say,
not give his
but,
children
but who
authority?
enforced
He did.
who enforced the authority of kings? Kings.
Okay, so the priests apparently are given rights from
Kings.
God, correct?
Yes, and they enforce their authority as well.
Okay, so
you always
how's
have an
that not a
enforcement
social
arm.
construct in your
Because
logic?
these are objectively given from a being. The construction of your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th amendments, all of them are social constructs. They don't exist in tangible reality. If they do, point one out. Show me. Show me your right to vote. Where is it? Absent your mind. Show it to me.
The one for quartering.
You
Show
can say that
me.
with anything.
Yeah, no,
is
well, you can say
physically-
about
We're
anything
talking
that is
about
a
the-
social
We're
construct.
talking about the spirit. So of course you're not going to be able to have something
Noah
physical
donated
when we're talking about the
$200.
spiritual.
That blonde is making a really good argument as to why women shouldn't
No
vote.
shit. But anyway,
wow.
back to this.
Can I ask?
She's not making a good argument as to why she should vote, certainly.
ask a
back to this.
clarifying
Hang on. Let us finish the argument. We're almost done.
I know. It's just,
We have.
It's ridiculous. No, you guys
Can you
want a
show
bunch
me
of guys like him
absent the
that
mind
don't
where your
believe in
rights
the
are?
Constitution to vote? Okay. Yeah, that's great.
The rights aren't a social construct. Can you point to one outside your mind?
The
Can you
quartering-
point to a right outside your
Can
mind?
you point to the
Don't
spirit
ask me a
outside of your
question.
mind?
Answer my question. Can you point to a right outside your
Can you physically
mind?
define the spirit?
That's another
Can you
question.
physically define consciousness?
Stop asking the question. Answer it.
No, because
No,
you're not.
because you can't.
No,
You can't answer
no,
it.
because
you,
you're not
you
the
imbecile.
one driving
Where
the
is a right
conversation.
absent your brain? Where
But,
is it?
Okay, but
Define the consciousness.
why can women not vote if they're
The
not the
funny thing
enforcers of
here
rights?
is-
I want to know that.
No, the funny thing here is this is what's debated when scientists are talking about AI. They're debating consciousness, and there are so many philosophers and people that debate consciousness all the time.
Yeah.
So you're asking me to define the spiritual and consciousness and put it into a physical state, which you know is impossible. So you're going with a false argument
Consciousness
here
are rights?
to try to prove a point that you're not even touching.
Consciousness are rights? Being conscious means that you have
Your
rights?
spirit and your soul.
Do people in
is where
Somalia who are conscious have rights?
So you don't
Where
believe
are
in the
rights
spirit?
absent your brain?
Why can't
Where are
women
they?
vote? Why can't
Where
women
is
vote?
your right to vote absent your mind?
Where is your
Stop
argument
asking me a
absent your
question
mind?
and answer one.
Where is your argument absent
I'll
your
tell you what, I'll
mind?
answer any fucking question you want after you answer this one.
Where is your argument
Where-
outside of your subconscious? outside of
Okay,
your
all of my
conscious?
arguments are based in the epistemological. The epistemology and the ontology that I have comes directly from God and divine command.
Really?
This answers, yes, and yours
And
too.
I said,
and
my,
all
I
Christians.
said I believe my rights are God-given.
That's great.
So why are
and that's
yours
what
and
we're
mine
talking about. Now, I just answered your question. Now answer mine. Where is this right to vote absent your brain?
Where's your argument?
Yeah, I
absent
just,
Jesus, where's your argument absent your brain? Oh,
just won't
she's
answer
so
it, no matter
lost.
what.
Wait, can you answer his question though? Just,
No, she
just answer
can't.
the question.
She knows. She already knows.
My-
It's a
my
fail.
rights
Where's your
absent
right
my
to
brain?
vote absent your brain?
I've been saying this whole time my rights are God-given.
Your right to vote comes from
So-
God?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. My right,
Wait, hold
my
on.
right
I gotta
does
go
come
outside.
from God.
$200.
Andrew's got to go
My
take
rights
a
haven't
snooze.
been.
He's tapping out. Oh, that's the
Hold on,
end
hold
of
on,
that, I
hold on.
guess.
Does.
My right to vote comes from God.
Yeah, I
That's
think
right.
that title was a little bit misleading because I don't think she learned anything from that. I don't think any of them learned anything from that. They never actually even got to like a point. That was fun though.